Welcome to Local Omaha. I'm Ken Bartholomew.
I'm Kelsey Weedle.
We're a small business community boost podcast. We like to bring awareness to those local entrepreneurs that have started their businesses here in the local area and surrounding community, as well as small community events and happenings and local nonprofits. And this week we're featuring a local nonprofit. And Kelsey, if you'd introduce our guest.
Today I'm super excited. We are going to be welcoming Kelly Adams today. Kelly, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so Kelly, tell us a little bit about you and your nonprofit.
Well, like I said, my name's Kelly Adams. The nonprofit's called It's All About Employment. We were officially started August of 22. I've been in the employment industry for over 30 years. That's what I do. They call me the jobs guy.
Okay.
Because that's what I do.
I like that.
I've been working for the past 11 years for an organization called Community Options Individual and Family Services.
Okay.
And what we do is work with folks that receive disability benefits, SSI, SSDI, want to get back in the workforce, and then get off of the cash benefit for the, I'm tangled up here, sorry. Cash benefit from their disability benefit. And so I help them with that process and help them find employment, do job coaching, and, just the whole employment prep process. Finding a job is the easy part. It's all the other stuff, and it's an individual process for everybody. So about, 4 or 5 years ago, I was working with a local shelter here in town, giving the employment talking about, when you get done with recovery and all these things, what does employment look like to you and how you can navigate that? And what I found was there's just this huge gap in services. Mm-hmm. Think about how difficult it is if you've ever lost a job and have to go out and find a new job. Mm-hmm. Think about how stressful that is just in itself. Right. And then you add on, okay, I'm freshly clean, not sure about where I'm going to live, probably don't have transportation, probably have some parole violation somewhere. All of these things are adding up. Plus,
right,
you have to find a job in order to keep everything together and not relapse back into where you were and why you're sitting right here. And so the more I talk to these guys, there's so many programs out there they're not even aware of. Heck, there's programs that I'm not aware of that pop up all the time.
But how does that work, Kelly? Like, how do you find them, or how do they find you? I mean, how's that?
Well, it started out, I was just working with treatment centers. That was where my initial focus was.
Okay.
Working with different treatment centers and stuff. The difficulty with that process was they're kind of ingrained in their own system with each treatment center and how they do things and how they work with each individuals. I mean, they refer people, but it wasn't an efficient system. Mm-hmm. And then I started working with a program down by Sienna Francis House, downtown, Holy Family Community Center, run by St. Vincent de Paul. Mm-hmm. The diocese donated the church to St. Vincent de Paul for the district office. So they got this huge building, and one of their partners is called Hope of the Poor. And 3 days a week, they have a free coffee shop. Just free coffee and oatmeal. Just build relationships with the people on the street.
Sure.
Most inspiring thing I'd ever seen. It was just so incredible learning. And so you see a lot of cross, the mental health, the disabilities, just every aspect of life was right there. Some of them are on the street, some of them are in shelters, some of them are couch surfing.
Wow.
And you just don't know. And so but we as a nonprofit kind of shifted our focus into more of a broader view of working with folks that are transitioning out of all of those environments. Mm-hmm. They could be in a shelter, they could be at home, but gonna lose their home. You don't know, or recently incarcerated, all of these things. And so I tried to manage it all, and I tried to be everything to everyone, and turns out I'm not. Mm-hmm. Turns out I need to stay in my lane, and I'm good with helping people find jobs. We tried a day labor program, which was very successul, but it was another aspect of, it was one too many things to try and control. So I started partnering with these other, Together Inc. Is a housing program, various local shelters. Once a week or every other week, I'm at the Stevens Center. And so what I created was, as you'll see on that sheet there, there's a little QR code, and they can do a intake. Okay. And so basically what it does is it sends me their information as soon as they put in the intake. I'm notified that someone needs services, so then I meet with them individually, whether it's at a coffee shop, Stevens Center, Table Grace Cafe. I don't know if you're familiar with them
Yes,
downtown.
absolutely.
I love Table Grace. They're the most wonderful organization. We partnered with them on a few things. So, my whole goal is to meet them where they're at. When I first was doing this, again, I get so excited trying to help someone, and and you see such potential. I met a young woman who had been in a shelter for 6 months, no ID, no social security card, no means of income, had not met with a caseworker in 6 months.
Right.
All of it, but this was her world. Her world was right there. And she got up, she had 3 meals, it's like being in prison. You get your meals, you have a place to sleep. During the day, you hang out with your people outside the shelter, and that was her life. And when we started this program of trying to help people, I was just like, oh my gosh, you can do so much. Or she was bright, hardworking. She could outwork most of the guys, and then all of a sudden I realized she wasn't ready for that. It's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that's with a lot of people. It's like, there's the guys from Hope the Poor say, there's a reason they're homeless. They've got issues.
Right.
And you have to figure out where they're at right then and there. Now, I've got so many success stories of people who were at that point and just had to be careful about how, it's like a scared deer. You want to scare a deer off when you're hunting. You have to be very careful about how you, it's overwhelming. So.
Well, I was going to say, Kelsey and I, both share in common that we like to support small community, small business, that type thing.
Right.
And even when we had the gym together and we worked there every day, there was that support of individuals that came in. We had some people come in some people didn't even work out. They just like to talk.
Right.
And that was their outlet to be able to feel better, feel healthier,
right.
et cetera, and that type of thing. And quite frankly, we both enjoyed it as well.
Absolutely.
So it was a cool deal. But to see I feel like that's, even though it's small, on a small level, and we were in a smaller community, boy, yours seems so micro, and it just seems, it just seems like that's a hurdle. Like that would be very difficult to help people through that.
That's what I was going to ask.
It's noble. It's
a navigation process.
Right.
And it really is. I know employment, and I was given a story to in one of my talks the other day, and I said, look, there's no magic answer. I know, have all these wonderful things. I'm old. As I've gotten older, you learn how to navigate things.
Right,
what employers are looking for, what they're not looking for, what they're willing to accept, what they're not willing to accept, how to look at an individual and have a conversation with them and say, you don't have to do that job. Right. There are other opportunities for you. Your skill sets can translate to so many other things, and they don't see that.
What are some of your biggest barriers for you personally with this nonprofit, and what are some of the biggest barriers you see for these people that you're trying to help? Is it finding what job would be a good fit for them? Is it getting identification? What are you finding for yourself and for others?
Is there a D, all of the above? No.
Exactly. And how do you narrow it down? How do you decide which to tackle first?
Well, as far as the nonprofit, funding, we're very small. I have a great board. Tamara, who is on the Mayor's Office of Homelessness, is on my board. Tina, who's the Vice President of Housing at Together, is on my board. People, not only in the housing community, but also in the employment community, and various, who bring expertise. I got a really strong board, and they're good for me because I'm not a structured individual. I'm just like, let's just go do it. Let's just go do it. And so, they've kind of reeled me back in to say, okay, this is how we need to do this. And so we've kind of slowed our roll on how much Kelly does out in the community. But, it all comes down to funding and be able to hire, which is our current phase right now, hiring someone to assist me to take this data, to create a better flow of it. We're working on an app to create a better referral system, because that's really what it is. It's more about referrals than anything else. If someone can be like, well, if I can do this and get that support and put these pieces together, I can get off the couch, and, it's meeting them where they're at, is the biggest hurdle, and I know I keep saying that, but it really is, because great, it might be an ID. It might be an ID, and then applying for your social security card, getting your birth certificate from another state, all of these things.
Right.
And that's a highly individualistic thing too, because each person must be mentally at a different place, on their journey of recovery or sobriety.
Yeah.
So you have to assess each person.
Each individual. And the intake that we do is specific for that reason. We ask those questions. And we can ask questions that an employer can't.
Yeah.
Or delve into things that an employer can't, because they're like,
that helps you, yeah.
And so the whole goal is to bring profiles to employers that say, okay, this person, this is their situation. They do or don't have transportation.
Right.
They do or don't have a background. They do or don't have this experience, skill set. Bring all that to the table, and it's like, okay, let's see what we got here. Let's do a meet. Let's talk to this individual. Staffing agencies are not a bad thing. They've gotten a bad rap over the years, but there's different levels to that. And so if that's what it takes to get them back in the workforce.
No, that's great. And like you said before, it's like there's enough anxiety and uncertainty yourself, just in carrying yourself through life and being during those transition periods of being employed, let alone to have those type of hurdles, and how you may walk through that front door with that on your shoulders. And you're just thinking, I'm not worthy, or I'm not this, and why would they hire me, and those types of things.
And where do I start?
And then if you don't have those, I remember years ago talking with my brother about this, and I never even thought about it, but like, you have to have a cell phone today. I mean, at one point I never even thought about it, but I mean, just because when you're looking for a job and things like that, I just never thought about it, because you see, like, who doesn't have one almost? I mean, you know what I'm saying? And you're like, really? But it's that important to make sure, and those types. So let me ask you this: are there specific employers that embrace that, or is it kind of a one-off? Like, you look at the individual, you meet them where they're at, it's a case-by-case basis, that type of thing, and then you see what they're qualified. Maybe they go down this particular path or this particular path, and then you look at the opportunities that are available out there?
Yes.
Okay.
It has to be individualized.
Okay.
Someone years ago.
Time-consuming as well.
It is. But years ago, somebody said, so do you just give me a list and I go out and apply? And this is with my job. And I was like, Kelly's brain doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. I mean, I may have had a conversation 6 months ago with an employer's like, what they're looking for and what kind of person they're looking for and blah, blah, blah. And then, we have this conversation. It's like, oh, you know who you need to talk to? Bam. Or you know what you need to do? Bam. And that's how my brain works. And that's how I try and operate with this whole organization. It's just, where are we at right here? Who do you need to talk to? Are you even ready to be employed? And that's a hard question. Some people don't want to accept the fact that they're not ready to be employed. They don't have it together enough to go get a job. A gentleman I worked with when I was doing the day labor program, and again, he was one of those guys. He'd been at the shelter for a couple of years. He'd lost his license and didn't have, due to drinking and all that sort of thing. But he was okay with his life. He really was. I mean, he got up. He got he got his 3 meals. He had a bed secure at the shelter, and did his thing. Occasionally, he'd do a job for a cousin or something and get some money in his pocket. But whatever, he didn't care. He really did. And so he started working for me. And first, it was kind of a struggle, just because it's like, he had really done hard work, and he had a bum knee, and we were out doing dead branches and mowing and weed eating and just out there doing it. But when there was a job, he'd show up, and he kept doing it. And
which is a huge skill, I feel like, on its own.
Oh my gosh, just showing up. And then I was down at the church one day, and I saw him outside, and he said, I just want to thank you. And I said, you're welcome. But okay. He goes, well, I didn't think, because we put money on a prepaid debit card. So at the end of the day, after they're done working, they got paid $15 an hour, went on their debit card, and they could go anywhere. He said, I didn't know that I still had $15 on my debit card. I said, good. He said, no, you don't understand. I could get a burger at McDonald's, and I could go get on the bus and see my son.
That's That's fantastic.
cool.
And then he got a job 6 months later.
Well, that may also help them transition into a different standard of living, possibly, is what I see a lot. When you become accustomed to that and you're
Yeah.
overwhelmed with all of these other things going on with your recovery path, it may be too difficult to transition and jump right into a different standard of living.
Right, exactly.
So,
Yeah, so that's what it's all about. And not every story ends up happily.
are there any, oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Are there any barriers you're finding specific to our location that we may not find in other cities or other states? Because I feel like we have a ton of resources, but it may be very difficult for people to find them.
Well, find them and know about them. There are two things. We have a lot of transplant people show up in our town from different areas of the country because they've heard there's work here.
Yeah.
Or it's easier to get help here.
Really?
Seriously, but have no idea how to access them. And then you have all of these organizations in this community, and there's so much community support in this town. But it's hard to keep up. I learned about an organization just the other day. I've been doing this for so long, and think about someone who's out there on the street or in the shelter and just like, okay, what next? Well, they don't know.
Right.
And so, it's a constant struggle getting that information to people and helping them, on that individual basis and making them understand, what they need to do. I ask them 3 questions. What have you done? What do you want to do? What are you willing to do? That third question is the key to everything I need to know about an individual, because and people say, "Oh, I just need a job." No, you're not asking answering the questions. Yeah, of course you'll do anything right now. You need money right now. You don't know where you're going to be tomorrow, or you're not gonna, next week. But it's not about that. It's about, okay, let's develop a plan to make it work.
So what if you meet someone and you've identified, or even with themselves and kind of what they're looking for, a certain skill set? Let's just say it leans toward a trade or whatever it might be, drywalling, et cetera, some type of construction, that type of thing. Is there a vehicle? Is there some connection or program or something like you can help somebody gain that type of education in order that they can use that skill set in the career?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's a matter of making that connection with, the trade unions are desperate for help.
Absolutely.
But not everybody wants to do that.
Right.
So
some aren't that desperate yet.
Some aren't that desperate yet, and so like I said, I did the day labor program, and I couldn't manage it, but yet I found people could go out and do it on their own. So I gave away equipment for them to go out and do their own work.
Right.
Entrepreneurship is huge when it comes to trying to figure out how, especially if you got background issues, you got this, you got that, you don't, if you can make money on your own at your own speed while you're getting back into the community and getting back in the workforce, it's huge, And so there's no easy answer, there's no right answer. There's okay, so what's going to work for you right now? How are you going to get back in the workforce? I had a gentleman who reached out to me through the referral form, and I was talking to him. And nice young man, wanted to go to work for a company that was way out west, but it was outside of his transportation area. And so then I got someone from my Rotary group. Whenever I do something like this, it's supposed to mention Omaha Suburban Rotary. So I've done my
Okay.
So I got it out of the way. All right, no.
Okay.
When you're passionate about something, it is easy to forget these little things that you need to go over.
So anyway, I mentioned certified transmission. I'll give them a plug because they have they're great employers, and they are willing to give someone a chance. And it's it can start very entry level, especially if you have mechanical ability.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I mentioned it to him, and he didn't apply. And so he talked to me a week or two later, and I said, "What did you apply?" He said, "Well, I don't know that I'm really equipped to turn wrenches and be a mechanic." I said, "No,
Right.
You didn't quite understand what I was telling you. This is what they're looking for."
Right.
And so then he applied. Now, I don't know how that went, but those are the sorts of things I mean, again, the information might seem simple to me, but they're not understanding. So you really have to just delve into it deeper.
So, excuse me, when you have people in your program, people that you're looking to help, and you mentioned like a prepaid debit card or that type thing. So just help me unpack this. So when that's someone's working $15 an hour or whatever the case may be, I mean, are they doing work for you and then they're being compensated through your nonprofit, and how that works?
That's how that did work.
Okay, all right. That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's how that
So I
did
wanted to
work,
make sure that-
and people would just pay the nonprofit.
kind of like the day laborer.
Day labor,
Right.
it was exactly
Got it.
what it was.
Okay.
And I've run
Right.
staffing agencies in the past, so that's how I ran it.
Yep.
You know,
Got it.
what I found out was it was just way too much.
Right.
So with this app thing I was talking about, having a referral program for that.
Okay.
Someone needs help, someone down the street,
Sure.
need their
We see that. I see that. You
Absolutely.
see that
Get
online.
raked and
Right.
leaves and
Especially
weed
with
eat and all that
storm
stuff.
cleanup and-
Storm cleanup and stuff, and they're not sure what to do, and all the big companies are weeks behind,
Right.
doing the big jobs. So they can go and fill out a little form, say, hey, this is what I need done, and match them up with a person who can go do it. It's cutting out the middleman. I don't need to be part of that. I don't need to, and they're more than willing to pay them however they want to be paid, whether it's cash or whatever.
Right.
And as long, and of course we have to vet the individuals
Sure,
to make sure
right.
that they're okay to,
No, right.
to make that connection.
I was thinking about that as a question, and I thought,
But no, it's a fair question.
Yeah.
It's a fair question. It's just like when I was going to give away equipment to certain people, the guys at Open Door said, be careful who you give the equipment to, because they could sell it.
that's a good point.
So
Yeah, geez.
there's a process,
Right.
I ended up giving most of it to an individual who his girlfriend worked for a local shelter, who works with these individuals, and so he's going to utilize those folks when he needs extra help.
Oh,
You know.
fantastic.
So here's what's kind of interesting for me, just sitting here speaking with
Sure.
you, is each program that we've had so far, there's laughing, where there's chuckling, it's upbeat and stuff, but man, this is serious. And I never thought about, I mean, I when I sit down here, I'm always thinking about joking a little bit or kidding
sure,
or something
yeah.
like that. And then when I see you, I see Kelly being this big, but the problem's this big. How do you duplicate yourself, or how are you gonna?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you've got a fantastic team of support.
I do. I have so much
Yeah.
support, and we're developing ways to bring in more people with more experience. And again, it all comes down to who
Yeah.
really does.
It really does.
I mean,
Because
how
there's
you can
always
make those
somebody out
connections, because it's, they may be, yes, I've got a lot of useless knowledge in my brain, but I might see something someone else does. Same with the other side of it.
Absolutely.
I've had people say, I have these grand ideas. I'm a grand idea kind of guy, and it gets me into trouble. I mean, it just
That's
does.
how I am too. I need an
Not me.
operations guy. No, I need an operations guy who can
Yeah.
do the Excel sheet.
Yeah,
and
somebody
I'm
to just
yeah.
pull me back.
I'm going to throw out these grand ideas and you make them work.
Yeah.
But that's what's great about having a board that
Yeah.
seems amazingly qualified for
Yeah.
what your mission is.
Yeah, and so now we're just focusing on bringing in money so we can pay people. I'm not a paid at all. I just do what I do. And then also to create a hospitality training program. Hospitality is the easiest way for someone to get back in the workforce.
It's fantastic. It's how I started in the workforce. That's how I made my way through college.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
feel like we are in dire need of hospitality hirees right
Yeah.
now, because I know a lot of restaurants are not even able to be open multiple days a week
Right.
because they don't have people to work.
Right.
So I do have one question about your organization. Do you have a physical location, or would
No.
that even matter?
No, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to.
It sounds like it's best to go to them, because the
It is.
transportation barriers wouldn't allow
Yeah.
them to visit you.
Yeah, no, and exactly right. I looked at getting space at various places. There's a lot of places that would work perfectly for what we do, and I
Right.
could do all sorts of different things. When we had the day labor, I was going to blow it up and make it this big program and get all this stuff. And it turns out it's like, yeah, I don't need to do all that.
Kind of sounds like a grandiose idea.
Exactly.
No, I get it. At least, I mean, geez. There was just something I was going to say. What about Is there any other kind of support dollars that would help support your program? I mean, are there local funds? Are there federal funds?
Well,
or
you know,
any
we
kind-
apply for grants.
Okay.
And we finally got smart and hired a grant writer.
I was going to say,
Okay,
grant
I was gonna
writers is
ask this.
another big expense.
It is, but best thing we've ever done.
Oh,
you
good.
know. So
Absolutely.
she's, applied for a lot of grants that we need, and, we'll learn more at the end of the year of how
Sure.
that all plays
Well,
out.
nice.
Another thing about grant writers is they know where to look.
Yes.
Because I did it, my first time I did it, I had no idea all of the resources that were available.
Oh, yeah.
And then once you get to start writing, you're like, I am woefully ill-equipped for this.
Yeah.
So I feel like every nonprofit that we've spoken to has I've never heard any nonprofit regret hiring a grant
Oh,
writer.
no. And that, and then, because of who we are and how small we are, even though it's a grand idea and lovely idea, people
Right.
want to see the proof in the pudding.
Mm-hmm.
We finally have data of showing the impact we've had in the community. We can show
fantastic. That's
the
great.
various demographics, who we've helped. We have the stories. We have the, everything that a donor and a grant funder is looking for, we finally have this year. It's taken a few years to get all that information together and to figure out, how do we pull all this information? Because I was just winging it. No, I was going out and doing it.
What advice do you have for someone who's looking to for an entrepreneur, somebody who's looking to start a nonprofit
Mm-hmm.
or get into volunteering or becoming a part of a nonprofit? I know we only have a few seconds left, but what would be your one piece of advice for someone who's looking to help, whether with your nonprofit or how do you turn this grand idea into action?
ShareOmaha.org.
Fantastic. I love that resource.
Yeah.
That was a great answer.
Because
Because I thought that question, man, we're going to be here at least 15
we
minutes.
got 10 seconds.
Like, we-
No, I
yeah,
love that.
seconds.
And that's
She
another
just,
thing that's important for local Omahas. If you're looking to get involved, shareomaha.org
Oh, yeah.
is absolutely
Absolutely.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So Kelly, thank you so much for
you.
coming on our
yeah,
show.
this was
Real
awesome.
quick,
I really appreciate it.
Please
It
tell
was
us your
great.
website before we have to go.
It's allaboutemployment.org.
Great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See you next time.